What's going on, YouTube? I just wanted to make a guide for you here today on how we are crafting these triple fracture fizz bows with bow attacks fire 2 additional arrows. I'll go over the Atlas strategy that I'm using to farm up all of my own coffins. Very rarely do you have to buy any. Occasionally you'll have to supplement with one of these, maybe two, depending on how long you want to farm, how much currency, how anxious you are, etc., etc. So we'll go over the graveyard, we'll go over the Atlas strategy, and then the Scarabs used to accomplish all of this on your own. And it's the coffins themselves are worth quite a bit. If you sell them in bulk, I have these here for 40 chaos, and people often hit me up for multiple stacks, and I just sell the ones that I'm not personally using, and then I use the ones that I want. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And as you can see, this is the bow that we're on right now. It's not finished yet. But it was a huge upgrade from my last bow. So we're using this one, and then we're gonna go ahead and craft another one because it's not super difficult. It's just a matter of trial and error and locking in your graveyard. And after an attempt or two, you should have a usable bow to craft onto. So here's another one that we hit right. This one was the one we were using before this. Again, it wasn't perfect. We didn't have +2 on it, so this was an upgrade for us. And then these are some of the other ones that we've crafted. As you can see, they're all usable. This one has the hybrid fractured fizz, flat fizz, and then crit multi. This one attack speed, crit multi, and percent fizz. So all of these are very nice and usable. It's just a matter of and we've sold a bunch of these too. Normally I'll list them for anywhere between 3 and 10 divine, and we've sold quite a few of them. So it's pretty nice. So this is the one we're on now, and we'll just go ahead and get right into the tree that we're or the graveyard that we're using, and you can kind of see what we're doing here. So this is it. As you see here, these are all labeled as beast. These are all your increased effect, right? So you're going to need 7 of those, and you need 4 additional crafts. They can be beast, construct, whatever you're using at the time. You just want to make sure that they all correspond, right? So like again with your fractures, your item level, all that kind of stuff. You're going to want to make sure that they all correspond. If your add crafts are all beasts, then you want your increase effect to all be beasts, etc., etc. And as you can see, we have these here. So this one's a beast, this one's a humanoid. So just so you guys are aware, I'm not sure how many of you have done this, but so there's all the different versions, increased effective construct, increased effective humanoid, construct, undead, construct. So as you can see, you just want to make sure that you want to make sure that they all correspond with whatever it is, right? So increased effective beast corpses, this is a beast corp, etc. I'm sure most of you guys know this, but just a quick little recap on that, in case you were unaware. So if you look down here, as you can see, we have +2 explicit. We want to fill up the whole thing because we don't want it to, we just want to make sure that it has the best chance of hitting, 3 of the 3 things that we're looking for, which are crit modifiers, physical modifiers, and speed modifiers. So there are some good ones and there are some less desirable ones, like projectile speed and crit multi. Ideally, it's crit chance and then it hits a couple fizzes, or attack speed and a couple fizzes, or just all 3 fizzes, which I think would be the ideal, and then you craft the suffixes, right? As far as what we're trying to avoid, we have chaos mods at -600, elemental mods -1500, gem mods -900, life 2250, and mana 1950, right? So these are all the things we're trying to avoid. We're not avoiding attributes or anything like that. When you fill up the mods, it seems that the likelihood of hitting attributes and things like that are pretty low. The main concerns that we're trying to avoid that seem to appear more often than the others is the life mods and the mana, the leech ones, because they also have the fizz tag on them. So these two seem to be the most important. 1500 LE once we got this up to 1500, we didn't really see any more elemental modifiers at all. So this seemed to be sufficient. The concern that as we kept creeping up on the life mods and the mana mods, because that minimized our chance of hitting the undesirable mods that we're hitting the most often. So these ones here are probably, I have found to be the most important of all of the blocked mods, right? Gem mods too, but 900 is enough to keep them out. I haven't seen them pop up at 900. So this is here. This is what you're looking for. Again, you have your speeds, your crit, your fractures, etc., negative life, mana, column. You need 9 rows. And then, like I said, you need the 7 increased effect. And then, your fizz, mana, elemental, etc. So it's not super intricate or anything like that. But this is what you're looking at. And this is the best version of the graveyard that I found that gives the most consistent results. And as I can see, you have a 302% chance to fracture. What's crazy is that every once in a while this 2% will hit and you will fracture 4 mods onto an item. It's pretty nuts. Again, same thing can happen here with the 202. You have a 2% chance to create, a 4th item. So it's pretty low, but it is still possible. But this is the most optimized version I had to guarantee 3 fracture mods and guarantee 2 extra items. So you get 3 items total, all with 3 fractures on them, right? So this is your tree right here. And as you can see, again, these are the bows that we've crafted. You drop a ton of coffins, right? So now we'll go ahead and get into the actual strat that we're using to farm these up on our own. And we're using 8 mod corrupted again, which we farm on our own as we are farming coffins. So we're basically looking for scarabs, 8 mod maps, and coffins, right? That's the farm that I'm doing as I'm trying to craft these up. So again, 8 mod map, we use Cartography Scarab of Corruption, so that we drop the 8 mods. And then we just use a Scarab of Adversaries just to add a few more rare monsters. And then we use Divination. This you can swap out, but I personally run Cemetery, Jungle Valley, and Crimson Temple for the most part. So, Jungle Valley has the Fortunate Divine card. Cemetery has the Brother's Gift and Brother's Stash, which again, Brother's Stash, the Exalt card falls a lot. The Gift, we've seen a handful of them, so they do drop on occasion. But again, it's a cheap Scarab to just throw in. You're welcome to work in something else. Once my 8 mod map pool and I have a bunch saved up, I'll usually just swap out Scarab of the Hunted Traders and Mysterious Scarab for just barrels. It just adds more. And the reason being is we actually run back to the basics. So we're not taking advantage of any extra league mechanics or anything like that. The maps themselves are essentially like Alcan Go, right? So they're really, really fast. You can get through them in a minute or 2 at the most. You don't have to deal with a bunch of stuff. Looting is quick. And you just kind of get in and get out. And it's just all about volume, right? While we farm up scarabs, maps, and coffins. Okay, so again, back to the basics, huge. I'm sure you guys have seen people strat that are using this. It's very, very powerful. And then other than that, we're basically just taking quantity, rarity, increased effect of map modifiers, scarabs. So we take, we want to grab as many of the increased scarab nodes as possible. So as you can see with some of these right here, scarabs in your map can't be, abyss, scarabs, breach scarabs, etc. So we're basically just trying to lock out some of the less desirable scarabs. And then, we can drop some of the ones that we want that are worth a little bit more, which are, the ritual, the blight, and the ultimatum scarabs. Those all have ones that are semi-valuable and they stack up. So we turn off the ones that we're not really interested in, just because they're not worth quite as much, right? And so we turn those off. Now, the most important pieces of this are these nodes here, the bottom left, bottom right, top right, and then again, there's another coffin node or necropolis node up here that we don't use. And the reason being is because we take this Fear of the Light, which Haunted and Devoted modifiers are applied randomly to packs in your maps, meaning so you don't have to deal with the All Flame situation where the menu comes up, you just kind of breeze right through it. But your monster packs in your maps have a 30% chance to roll an additional Haunted modifier. So again, you're going to drop more coffins. Embers of the All Flame cannot drop again, which is better now because the All Flames have lost a little bit of value, and people, I'm sure they'll come back. People will figure out a way to use them, but for right now, they're not quite as valuable now that they've nerfed the Rogue Exile, All Flames, and now the meat sacks as well and all that. So we don't take any of the Eternal Torment because we're not worried about it. And then up here we just take Decisive Souls just because you have more chance of dropping, a higher chance of dropping meta modifier crafting outcomes, right? Then down here, leave an additional corpse. So the combination of these three nodes up here, we're going to drop way more corpses. We're not going to drop all flames, and the chances of dropping the higher tier crafting modifiers on our coffins are higher with this node up here. So this is the tree that we're using. It's been really, really good. Like I said, super fast, super efficient, and it's just a ton of corpses and things like that. So that's what we're using to farm them up. Now, how we got the +2 additional arrows, this is where it gets a little bit more finicky, and you just have to basically spend some money to try to craft in the Hoarder crafting station. And as you can see here, like this one, we just have +1 additional arrows, and that's just for time's sake. You know, I don't want to spend too much currency as this isn't one we're going to craft on. I just wanted to kind of go over it real quick, what that looked like. So as you can see, we just throw this in, and you just basically spam increased or reforge a rare item with random modifiers, including an attack modifier. You need red juice, and you know this one we have +1 additional arrow, and then you can kind of go from there, right? So I would say that the +2 additional arrows shows up. We had it show up twice in about 6 divines worth of red juice. So with that being said, maybe every 3 divines of red juice, you'll see +2 additional arrows show up. Bow attacks fire 1 additional arrow. You'll probably see it for every 3 or 4 times that shows up, you get the +2. So if you're just trying to do it real quick and get 1 additional arrow, then you know you should be able to slap that on in under a divine worth of red juice. And then you know you go from there and you just craft it by doing, you know, suffixes cannot be changed, and then reforge fizz. And that's how, you know, that's how we ended up with this one. And as you can see, our hybrid fizz is pretty low, but you know, this, like I said, it was a huge upgrade on our last one, so we went ahead and stuck with it. But that's how we're getting the additional arrows on there. Is you basically just have to kind of go to meta crafting at this point, where you add, you know, roll with attack mods. You know, there's other methods you can do. You can just straight up chaos spam it, which also works. We saw it show up through chaos spamming. And your last option would be to just use essences, right? Choose an essence that you want, and then just spam it until it also adds additional arrow. This feels like the most expensive and RNG way to do it. The best way I've found to get additional arrows is definitely the Hoarder crafting station, red juice, reforge attack, and like I said, it shows up +2 additional arrows, shows up about every 3 divines. We used 6 divines yesterday, had it show up twice. The first time that we hit it, we missed our prefix, so we actually hit a suffix, and so et cetera, right? So there is some level of RNG to getting the +2 additional arrows, but this is how we went ahead and did it. It's not impossible to hit it out of the Necropolis Graveyard, but it is highly, highly unlikely. So this is the best, most consistent way to do it, but you do have to do some crafting. It does take some time, and it does take some currency. So if you guys want a more in-depth video, I can go ahead and post that. I can pull it out of the stream from yesterday. The whole process isn't on the stream from yesterday. If you want to go back and kind of see exactly how we did it and really watch the whole thing, by all means, go ahead and do that. If you're interested in seeing an in-depth guide, what I'll do is on the next one that I craft, which I'll do in the next day or so, I'll just literally make a guide as I'm doing it so that I can just post that for you guys and you can have a really in-depth guide. But if you're doing this, chances are you have some understanding of crafting and things like that, and you'll understand what we're doing here. But the most important part is the graveyard, and again, you will get a usable bow out of the graveyard. It might just not have additional arrows and all that kind of stuff. So as you can see, this one right here is usable right out of the box. Doesn't have crit strike chance, but again, you know, it is a ton of physical DPS. You know, you've got your attack speed, you know, crit multi, all that kind of stuff. So this one here, again, unfortunately, it has attack, damage, leeches, mana, but it is a usable bow if you're just trying to get to that point, which is what I did. Crafted one of these, used it for a while, then we crafted another one, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a step up process. But eventually, as you can see, we ended up with this one, and then our final version, we will, you know, be shooting for T1 hybrid fizz, and then, you know, a not crafted attack speed. But again, I didn't want to spend all my currency on this one because it is usable, and it was a huge upgrade from our last bow. So the guide was pretty quick, and I know we just kind of brushed over some things, but I'm hoping that really, again, the most important part is the actual Necropolis Graveyard itself. The rest of the stuff is all pretty standard crafting that you've done in the past, and I'm sure on your own. So yeah, again, hopefully we didn't brush over things too quickly. You know, we got the Atlas strat, farming up your own coffins, we got the Necropolis Graveyard, and we've got the process of trying to craft on additional arrows. So hopefully that was enough for you guys to get started and start crafting your own. Please like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. It's immensely helpful. Come tune into the stream. You know, we try to stream every weekday, sometimes on the weekends, and you know, we're just dropping stuff, crafting, all that. So I appreciate all you guys tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.